Hi everyone, this is John Moore of the Denver Center, and today we're going to talk about how resident video designer Charlie Miller and Black Odyssey actor Jason Bowen turned this into this.
In the play, this is when the naval officer gives her the bottle. It's his part, and she looks at it and she sees you drink. So this is when you first fall into the water.
Hey, let's start by you telling people what exactly your role is in the creation of new work here at the Denver Center.
I'm the resident video designer at the Denver Center Theater Company, so whenever there's a show that wants to or needs to incorporate video as a design element, I'm usually the one who gets to work on it. And that's especially fun when it comes to our new plays because I'm often a part of the conversation before the play is even chosen to be a production.
So what was your specific challenge with Black Odyssey?
Well, with Black Odyssey, there were, I think, two moments in the script written for projections. One was these spirit faces that show up at the end of Act 1, and the other was Paw Sidin's face projected large on the floor, which ended up not really happening the way we thought it would. We knew that Marcus, the playwright, imagined video and projections as part of the visual vocabulary of the piece, but he didn't specify very much of what that was. So then I begin the process as a detective trying to piece together how video interacts with this story. In this production, we decided that video and projections should stay in Ulysses's world. It didn't have a place in the more real world of Harlem. It sort of had a place with the gods, but it was really centered around Ulysses and his journey, specifically the water that surrounds him for much of the play. And we knew that video would be able to create water on stage better than lights because of the motion of it.
So let's set up the specific moment with Ulysses in the water. Where's he at and what were you going for?
In the script, it said that Nella sees Ulysses drowning. I don't know if he intended that to be projection or not, but the director early on had the idea of, well, let's see him underwater, and I got really excited by that. It was also very complicated logistically. So I spent a lot of time, months, figuring out how to do it, getting the right equipment, lining up the venue, thanks to the JCC Sports and Fitness Center for letting us use their space after hours, testing it out, and then ultimately it came to the day when we got to shoot it. We had the actor for an hour.
So you had actor Jason Bowen, who was up for anything, who basically was brought to the JCC and told to do what?
Pretend like he was drowning, which turns out is really hard to do without actually drowning. I know because I tested it on myself at first. When you jump in, it's automatically better because your body just does what you do. Here I was just holding my breath and seeing it. Here's the flailing. So he just dove in the water, and Topher, my assistant, was operating the camera, and I was in the water just watching to kind of help direct. And we tried all sorts of things and then slowed it down in post-production to make it last longer and look more dramatic. What ended up making it into the show was 3 shots out of like 40. And my favorite one didn't even make it in because it didn't look very good when you projected it on the floor at the end. So it's one thing how it looks on your computer, it's another thing how it looks in the context of the show projected large. So in that moment, Nella is looking across time at Ulysses drowning in the water, and projected large on the stage we see his image.
On the actual stage floor.
On the stage floor.
And for the audience, what do they experience when they actually see this projected image?
So that moment is important because it's the first time we really introduce the language of projections into the show for the audience. But it's also an interesting moment of video reality on top of theatrical reality. There's something so real about seeing the bubbles coming out of his mouth as he goes. So I think it's an interesting it's a striking moment for Nella, and it's an interesting moment for the audience to kind of bring the language of cinema and the language of theater together. So it is this one of many magical moments in the play where we're existing in two places at once.
I totally bought that, especially when the Cadillac came out into the middle of the ocean to scoop him up.
Right. On the one hand, it makes no sense, and on the other hand, it makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. Bottom line is you have a pretty fun job.
It's pretty awesome, and this underwater shoot was definitely a fun challenge that I'd never had done before and that I'll remember fondly from this production.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
This looks like it might be fun, but it's not, is it?
I mean, it's all right for the first, maybe 10, 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Then once you're sitting out in the cold, waiting for that, okay, yeah, you're ready to go home.